Hello everyone and welcome to another Creative Design Team YouTube collab where this month we are focusing on creating scrapbook pages from card designs that we have done. It's very exciting. Our 31 Days of Christmas card event that we run every October is just around the corner and we've opened registrations for it. So you'll find links for that below. And when we were talking about our collab that we were going to do this month for YouTube, we decided that it would be fun to take a card that someone has created in our 31 Days of Christmas cards and use that as inspiration for a layout. Most of the girls have already aired theirs and I wasn't able to post a video last week and I'm bringing up the tail end of our YouTube collab, but I think Andrea will have one coming your way very soon as well. So make sure you check out all of their videos, and I have gone pretty much literal. I'm going to take a Christmas card and make it into a Christmas layout. And if you've watched the other girls, you'll know that there is a great variation of scrapbook layouts that have been created because they've used the Christmas cards and they've made other layouts that are not necessarily Christmas themed. So make sure you check out those. I've got a couple of more videos I need to catch up on just to see what they've been doing. It's just been a little bit hectic here lately. So I've decided to take one of the cards that I did last year for 31 Days of Christmas cards. I created a design space file, which everybody got in the 31 Days of Christmas cards event, that they could open up and cut out this postage stamp effect. But I also showed how to create this sort of look using a set of postage stamp dies. This is just an example of what you get within just one card class. So there is a card class every single day for October, and we don't stop at creating just one card. We will do variations of that card so that you get a whole lot of cards from that one class, and it works out at just $1.29, I think it is, US dollars per day. And as I just said, it's not just one card because we can't help ourselves. We like to show variations on what we've been doing. So for today, I'm taking this design and I'm going to recreate this with these cute little reindeer fun elements here, and also with the Stampin' Up! Perennial postage dies. And I know I talked before about designing this in Design Space, but I did show how the same effect could be created with a die that Close to My Heart had, which cut postage frames as well. So I've cut out a whole heap of these in different sizes. I'm not going to keep them all the same size like I did with the card that I just showed you. And instead of doing the stamping on here, I am going to put some of these cute little reindeers on here. And there's another element within this postage set here that is not actually a die. It presses this in so it does some embossing for you. And I've got one here on a piece of paper. I've actually put a little bit of light grey linen ink over the top of this to see if it would stand out a little bit more. But I'm going to bring that up to camera. I'm hoping that you can see the indentation on here that gives that postage watermark or stamp that is used when your cards go through the mail. So I think I'm going to do that on a couple of these pieces. I've already gone ahead and I've assembled some of these reindeers, and you might be looking at this stamp set and thinking this reindeer is not in this stamp set. What I love about Stampin' Up! Dies, and I keep saying this every single video, so I'm like a broken record, I'm sorry, but you've got dies here that will cut out the two reindeers here. It will cut out the Christmas tree. It'll cut out the silver bells, but it's also got this beautiful wreath here that you can cut. And I'm just going to open up because there are two sheets of dies here. This is a bow from a gift. There's some lights here. These are little rectangles here that will create gifts. You get holly on here as well. And there's the wreath that I've cut out. So there's no stamp here for the wreath. And then there are 3 dies here for the reindeer heads. And this is what I got really excited about when I saw this set. Now, you can purchase this die set on its own. You don't have to get it with the stamp set, but the stamp set's so super cute, I had to get that as well. And I've used these 3 dies to build a reindeer here. So there's the base layer. And then you want to cut the next layer, which is the piece with the solid ears. That's how I remembered it. So that one cuts out from here. And this one is the top layer. So that's that one. And then I have a wreath that I have cut out as well. So when you go to build this, and I'm going to build one on camera, I already assembled these ones, and I've used a variety of Close to My Heart papers. So there's toffee, shortbread, white, and espresso on here. When you go to build these, this is how you layer them up. And then you put the piece over top. and you get these cute little features so that the eyes here are not solid. They've got a little detail on there which makes them look even better, I think, in real life rather than having a solid color behind here. And you can see I've got one here with a little red nose. I've just cut a little piece here and put it behind here, and obviously I've curved it so it doesn't come through on the eyes. And then when you turn that over, you can see there's a little red nose there, but I only want one Rudolph. I don't want all of them to be Rudolph, and it should have been the one that I assembled on camera, but I was all excited about getting this done and assembled, and they are so cute. I love the little detail on the ears here as well, so it does some embossing as well as cutting. And I found the best way to assemble these was to start with the two top layers and then adhere it to the base layer. So I'm just going to use my Barely Art glue. Anything with a fine tip will work. The Tombow will work as well, but this is just the one that I prefer. I don't need a whole lot, but I'm just going a little bit around the ears, and then I'm going to put this layer here that's got the solid ears directly onto that, and I can just hold this with my fingers, and usually around the ears here is the easiest way to hold it to make sure that it's all lined up. And if I hold it over my mat here, you can see they're the little details for the eyes that actually bring this to life. But this was the easiest way to put this together for me, to start with the top two layers and then adhere it to the base, because there are part of the antlers here that peek out over top. So this one, it's easier to hold and push it together like this to get all the layers to line up perfectly. So I'm just going to put some glue on this one and bring in my bottom layer. And I'm just squeezing that together at the sides and the top and the base. And there's a perfect little reindeer all adhered. The glue that I've used actually dries clear, but I can scrape a little bit of that away. And then I can take my wreath. I'm going to put a little bit of glue down on the base of it here so that the wreath has somewhere to hold on to, and then just slide the wreath in like this and position that so that he's peeking out from the wreath. Now, you don't have to do the wreath part. You could just do the reindeer directly onto these pieces, but I wanted to show you how quick and easy that was to assemble. If you want multiple reindeers, you get a bit of a production line going, and you can cut one whole reindeer set in one pass using all the pieces of paper. So I'll get one of the die cuts, I'll take out the piece of paper that I know that I want to cut this color with, and then I just use my scissors to cut around that so that that will fit on my die cutting plate. And then I do the same thing with these three layers here so that I can cut all of them in one go rather than putting on a large sheet of paper and only being able to cut one die piece at a time. So I'm going to move everything away. I'm going to keep my card up here for my inspiration. So today I'm going to be working on a single page layout, and normally I scrapbook on white, and I've got all my postage pieces, and I'm just going to fit these in like a little jigsaw puzzle going up the left side of the page. And the larger ones, I want to make sure I've got a larger one down near the base, because this is where I'm going to start sitting my little reindeers so that they look like they're part of a postage stamp. And as I was building this up and having a little play with this and working out what I think was going to work best, I decided that I didn't want to try and make it so that everything was all in a line. I know that's how you normally get your postage strips, but I really didn't want that to be the case for this one. Now, with this die set, if you wanted to replicate something like this, you could definitely cut all of these so that they were the same size pieces, and then you would be able to fit everything in perfectly. I think I quite like the fact that it's not all equal. So I'm just going to keep going up the page here with my pieces, and then I'm going to start bringing in my little Rudolphs and deciding where they're going to sit. I don't want to have an overabundance of them, but I do want to have a little bit of a collection. I think what I'm going to do is do a little grouping over on this side. And I've got my Rudolph down here. Maybe I'll make him a feature down in this section here. And I'm also making sure that I'm mixing up the colours a little bit with these reindeer. So I'm quite liking how that's looking, but it is very white on white for this. And I do have some other reindeers that I can play with. I might actually put one coming out from behind the photo that I'm going to put on here. I'm just going to move these ones off to the side, and I think I might have a little look at what this looks like on shortbread paper. Now you could use crumb cake if you wanted to. And I can already tell, as soon as I did that, I really like having the shortbread here. I think this is going to be the way I go with this. So I'm just going to stand back and have a little look at this. The shortbread on here I think looks really cool, and I've got one of the reindeers over here. And you know what? I'm going to make this into a double page spread. And I'm going to try the light side of shortbread. Now this is close to my heart paper. At the time of me recording this video, toffee, and I've got a feeling that pine might have been available as well. So I will link to those as well as everything that I've used today in the description below. I think it actually looks better on the darker side of shortbread. And then I might have to cut myself some more little postage stamps. Maybe I'll put one up in this corner and run this one off a little bit. I do like having things in odd numbers, so I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do here. I think I like this grouping better. So because I've got two of the light green wreaths over here, I'm going to put one of the dark green onto this page to balance it across. And these aren't going to go to waste. I've got Christmas Tag Tuesday, and I'm also doing cards for a workshop coming up soon, some card making kits. So I'll keep those aside because I think the ladies will love creating these little Rudolphs at the workshop. I quite like how this little watermark looks, but I think what I want to do is try it with just white on the page without putting the ink on there. I'm going to just carefully move this over to the side. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Up machine. This is pretty new and the table might wobble a little bit, but I want to show you how easy it is to use this. Now what I love about this machine is all the instructions are actually on the plate. So I'm using a die, which is this little piece here. Even though it embosses, it's the same height as a regular die. So this is my base plate, number 1. Number 2, this also has instructions on here because it's used for die cutting. I need a number 3, and then I need number 3 for the top. Now the number 4 plate is used when you're doing embossing using 3D embossing folders, and it's one of the reasons why I got this. I was able to get some of the 3D embossing folders through my Close to My Heart machine, but I found that it was much easier to use this one with a 3D embossing folder and also with the hybrid height, the ones that cut and emboss at the same time. This machine was much easier to use, so that's why I bought this one. So I'm just going to put this on, position my little watermark or my postage stamp piece, and run this through my machine. Let's hope it doesn't wobble too much. It's very sturdy, it runs through very easily, and I was trying to just use one plate for cutting and one plate for the top, but you can see I just did it the wrong way around. This one has a few marks on it. My other machine was a little bit too tight, so I did ask them about that and it was replaced. And this one is a lot smoother to wind through. I actually love how this looks. I know it's a butterfly. It's not really related to Christmas, but I love the watermark on there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this for all of these. And I'm just going to have a quick look at my stamp sets to see if I want to add any additional little feature to these postage pieces that aren't going to have the Rudolph on them. I might decide just to leave them plain, but I've got one here that I can do a little test on and see if I want to dress them up just that little bit more. So what I've also decided to do with this, before I adhere everything down, I want to add some colour to the edges of these. I'm just going to go around the edges of these and just dress them with some shortbread ink. And while I'm doing this, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about 31 Days of Christmas cards for October that the Creative Design team are hosting. It's very exciting because we have two fabulous guest designers coming on board with us. Lisa Stens, who most of you know, she's joining us again this year to present, and I know that she will make something absolutely fabulous. I have loved Lisa's style for a very long time, and I'm very excited that she's joining us again this year. And then we have another special guest designer, Jill Broadbent. A lot of you from Close to My Heart days will know her. She is such a fabulous artist, and she's also done a lot of things. If you check out her Instagram, you will see she has been very, very busy since she left Close to My Heart and has always loved doing mixed media elements as well as the more traditional type paper crafting. So I can't wait to see what she is going to bring to our event this year. I always get so much out of what the other creative design team girls present, but having Lisa and Jill on board with us as well is certainly extra special, I think. Registration is open now through to 1st of October, and you'll also be able to see that we have replay access available for 2 previous years of 31 Days of Christmas. Now, while most of us will be using new product, we do love to share with you what other substitutes that you can bring in if you're wanting to craft along with us and you don't have the supplies that we are using. For example, today I'm using these little reindeers here, but there's lots of other cute little designs like little elves, Christmas trees, or baubles, and we don't just create one card one way. We will bring in other supplies to show you that you can mix and match what you have on hand without having to think that you have to have absolutely everything that we are using to craft along with us. I have it here the right side down here because I had a little play with some stamps that I have to give these a postage stamp type feel. When you purchase a set of Christmas stamps, you usually get a variety within the pack sometimes, so I wanted to make this look like a series. So I have done some stamping here. I wanted to have a little play with it. I did do some stamping with first generation toffee, and when I put that here, I decided that was just a little bit too strong. I want the reindeers to be the pops of colour, not necessarily the background pieces of this, because I think that just makes it a little bit too distracting. So I've used second generation stamping with this with toffee. You could definitely use crumb cake. And I wanted to show you the stamp sets that I've chosen, and I'm going to do some of the stamping on these pieces here on camera for you. Now, I have pulled out all Stampin' Up! Stamp sets for this that I have. These are all brand new that I have just received, and I wanted to give them a full workout. So I've got Hang an Ornament here. I thought it would be fun just to have a little bit of it popped out here. This is just a little bit darker than what you would get with shortbread ink. So it's a good in-between colour between toffee and shortbread. And I love how there's just a little bit of a bauble peeking up here. The other stamp sets that I've brought in are Sweetest Star. You can see I've got the snowflakes here. I know that I'm in Australia and we don't have a wintry Christmas, but that's where Rudolph and the Santas come through, so I'm okay with using snowflakes on my Christmas pages. So this one I've just stamped off the edge, and then this is brand new as well. It's from the scrapbooking release that Stampin' Up! Have done, Reindeer Memories. So this is the stamp set that coordinates with the Reindeer Memories and Reindeer Days collection. So fa la 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 la, and I've got the gift on a block here as well, and I've also got these little stars and dots here, and I think they create for a pretty cool look for a postage stamp piece. So I've just stamped that multiple times over here. So let's get stamping. Oh, I did bring in another piece here, this little leaf, which is from Hang an Ornament. So I might do some random stamping with that one. And I want to keep this layout. I've gone through and placed everything. So I'm going to start with this one. Maybe I'll bring in the leaf for that. I haven't got that on the right page, but that's okay. I'm going to mix things up. Now, these are brand new stamps, so I do like to season them just to get rid of the manufacturing coating on here. And I'm just going to stamp this until I know I've got a good impression. But I do know that I am going to do this in second generation toffee. And I'm just going to stamp probably 3 of these onto here, and that's going to fit onto this section. I don't need to clean my stamps in between because I'm going to use toffee throughout this. I might put a little gift on this one, so I need to just stamp it a couple of times just to make sure it's inking up correctly. That looks pretty good. I'm going to put a present in the corner of there. This one I'm going to use the snowflakes. Stamp it off, and I'm putting the snowflakes pretty much over the entire piece. I'm loving how this is looking. I haven't used the fa la la, so once again, I'm just going to season that with my hand. Now, I'm using Close to My Heart ink pads, and you can see I'm doing a lot of pressing into this, whereas if I was using Stampin' Up, I would just have to do a couple of light taps and it would be inked. So I really think I should be using crumb cake because I wouldn't have to be working quite so hard. I've got fa la 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 on there. I'm just trying to work out if I should repeat that. I think that might be quite cute to put all the way across the stamp. So a little bit of stamping this off so that it's not exact all the way up. I want to graduate it and move it around the page a little bit. Oh, sorry, not around the page, around this little postage stamp. Stamp off and then bring this one back in. And that stamps quite well across the watermark piece here that I've got. And I think you can see from this, it's adding a lovely bit of texture to that. The only other one I'm going to show you on camera while I've got it out, and then I'll go through and I'll do all the others. I think, oh, and I haven't done the bauble. So I'm going to stamp off with this row of stars and dots here. And just like the fa la la, I'm going to go all the way up, but I'm going to move it so that it's not the same pattern all the way through. And I just need to put another little row across the top here. And I'm going to stamp one of the baubles on this section here. I only need to ink up the top part of it, stamp it off, and then come in from the bottom section. So that's looking pretty cute. I might do another one of these with the other pattern of the bauble. And it's okay just to have a partial piece of it. You still get the same idea that it's all Christmas themed. So I'm going to finish off these last few, adhere this down. I will need to turn these over because I am hanging some off the edge of the paper rather than having it all contained within the 12 by 12 piece. So that's just a case of turning your piece of paper upside down and trimming away the edge. I've got all of my postage pieces adhered down. This one I need to put a little bit more adhesive underneath. So I'm just going to lift that up and attach it a little bit better. And make sure that that little antler goes over top. And one change that I did do, once I had adhered all of these elements down, I trimmed down my shortbread base to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4 and put it onto a pine base. And I really like the added addition of the depth of pine in here. Now I did gut out the middle of that so that I could use the sections on both sides of these as photo mats. So I'm going to have a 5 by 7 photo on this side, and I've got 4 by 4s on this side. And my mats are true to size. That's what I normally do. And then I trim down some white here, just 1/8 of an inch smaller. So I get a 1/16 of an inch mat around these pieces. And then I'll trim my photos down to, for the 4 by 4, they'll be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And for this, it'll be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So everything will have a 1/16 of an inch mat around it. And I really like how the stamping has all worked on these ones here. I think it just adds just enough texture so that there's enough interest on the page. I want to bring in some titles. I've got Christmas here. I absolutely love this die, and that's going to sit over top of this. And it's actually from this set here. So it's the Peaceful Season, which I've purchased because we've got 31 days of Christmas cards coming up, and then I've got tags coming up. And I know I've said this over and over again, I think in the last couple of videos. This is a set I know I'm going to use so much on both tags and cards, but also onto layouts. And I've got another video that will be airing later this week where I have used this. And you can stamp and then die cut out with the bubble outline here, but you can also cut it out with paper. I'm just going to hold this up. It does have some adhesive on here, but I think you can see how wonderful that is. So the die cut cuts out the fine words here, and I've done that in pine, and then the bubble outline or the outline piece I've done in white. But I wanted to add another word to this rather than just Christmas, so I've gone back to the Reindeer memory set. And as I said earlier, this is for scrapbooking, so there's a nice large title on this. Now don't be horrified, but I actually did some stamp surgery on here. So Festive Memories comes as one piece, but it was quite easy to cut this piece away and be able to stamp just the memories. And I'm going to put that across the base area of my photo here. So the title is spread across here with Christmas memories, and I really like how that looks. And I also want to bring in some tabs just to do a little bit of decoration and to bring in more of the pine from the wreath. And this is limeade, so you can definitely substitute. There's mossy meadow. Let me get my stamp pads out. I think Granny Apple Green would be a good substitute for this one. So I'm going to tuck those just as a little decorative piece here, but because I've used a lighter shade of green, I'm able to do like a little one-word journal piece or something like that on here if I want to. And then I think I'll bring one in over this side. Now I haven't cut the whole piece. I'm going to bring in the die set that I used for this. I've just cut sections of it. It's actually a bigger piece. And this is from a set called Something Fancy Dies. It's not in the catalogue at all. It's available online, but there are so many options here that you can make tags out of or decorate scrapbook layouts with. So that's just the mid-size one of this shape. And you can use these pieces to cut into the tags as well, just to create a decorative cutout from that. So it's quite a versatile piece, and I love that it's got a little banner piece as well. So great for tucking around elements and creating tags with. And then I decided I wanted to bring in something just a little bit shiny and a little bit fun. And this is from the same Reindeer fun dies that I've used here with all the little reindeers and the wreaths. And there's this string of lights that you could put on a die cut Christmas tree if you wanted to. But I think they're going to look a little bit cute tucked in and around. I have adhered these down, so I'm going to be very gentle. I don't know if you do this too, but I do this all the time. I put things down and then I decide that I want to add just a little bit of something more. Maybe this one will just go along this piece. I like how that looks. And because I've got two, I need to add a third. So maybe I will bring it to this section over here. I really love how that looks, but I want to add a little bit more stamping, I think. So I'm going to bring in that same set that we used before from the scrapbooking set that I used on the postage stamp. And I might do a little row of this just along the bottom here of the layout. So I think that might look quite nice. But before I commit to that, I've got a spare piece of shortbread here. And I'm going to look at what it looks like with toffee ink. So if you're using Stampin' Up! Inks, you could use crumb cake here. I want to have a look how that looks in first generation and also in second. I think I'm going to do it in first generation because it's just going to stand out a little bit more. Second generation toffee worked really well onto the white, but it's just a bit too pale onto these shortbread pieces. So I am going to commit to that and stamp these along the bottom of these layouts. So I'm going to put my first one down here. I love how that looks. It's just going to finish the page off nicely, I think. Now I'm wondering if I rotate it, it might fit in just a little bit better. I'll have two stars together, but I think I prefer to do that so that the line looks a little bit more continuous. And then I'm going to go off the edge here. So I'm just going to put a piece of torn off paper here because it's the same height. I could use a post-it note, but this just happened to be sitting around on my desk. So I'm going to use that. I'll rotate my stamp around again so that it nestles in and amongst these pieces. Which way is going to work better? So you can see if I do this way, which is how I stamped that one, I'm going to get gaps here. So it's better to rotate it a little bit. Doesn't matter that there's a gap here and here. It still looks like it's all meant to be. And then I'm going to repeat that same process on the right page. And then I'm going to think about what dots I'm going to put on here. Before I put my dots on, I'm going to bring in these three stamps as well. So I've got those on blocks already. I'm going to stamp the when, where, and what. Actually, I think I will put that directly onto the page. Now, there's a couple of little air bubbles in here from me putting this onto the stamp block. So I'm just going to peel that off and put that back on and see if I can get rid of those air bubbles. So that's much better. But there's still a little bit of one there, so I can peel it back and then just ease it onto the block to hopefully get a bit better coverage when I stamp that. So you can see I've got rid of that air bubble that was in the middle there. I'm going to turn my Versamat over. So I'm going to have to work a bit hard to get this one to ink up properly with the CTMH ink. I don't really want to bring crumb cake in because I started off with toffee. So that is not stamping too well. I'll try it on the Versamat, the spongy side, and you might see a bit of a difference when I'm doing this. So let's just move that aside and make sure that I get this really inked up well. And let the ink soak into the paper. So that looks much better. So you can see the difference. When there's a solid area on a stamp image and you're using a photopolymer stamp, it does pay to have a spongy surface to stamp onto. Make sure that I've got this nice and inked up. And if I do mess this up, I will go away and I'll stamp it on a piece of white and back it with some pine and put that in. So nobody will know what's underneath here. So So I'm just going to get my head over this for a second. But this little area here, because I've staggered the 4x4 photos, that's going to work really well to place elements like this. So I'm leaving this on here for quite some time. I'm not pushing as hard on this area here because they're fine lines and fine dots. I'm putting more of the pressure onto this end where the solid part of the image is. And I quite like how that looks. I know that it's a little bit blotchy, but I don't mind that because we've got the light areas here on these postage stamp style pieces. I'm also going to put this Oh So Jolly up here. Bring in my piece of scratch paper. That's stamping beautifully. So I'm going to nestle this one up here. And then I've got this one that says On This Day. So that is going to fit in amongst this area. And this is giving a little bit more embellishment to the layout. I know they're words, but they help group everything together. Make sure this is stamping right before I actually put it onto the page. That looks pretty good. So bringing elements like word pieces or little text boxes and tabs just makes the photos look like they belong on the page rather than floating on the page. So that's a bit cute for the right page. I've got my main focal photo on the other page, the 5x7. So now all I need to do is adhere down these little elements and bring in some dots. I've got my light strings put on here, and I just wanted to mention that there's no adhesive on this area here, so I'm able to tap my photo underneath. And I've brought the dots in here using the new gold textured adhesive back dots. I think they work really well with the colours on this page, especially with the toffee ink on these areas here. And these have been cut from the gold foil sheets. And I love how they just bring a little bit of whimsy to this page with these gorgeous little reindeer die cuts. So you can see I've got some on this area here, and my strand of lights goes across from one edge to another edge. So that's something that I've been mindful of when I've been adhering these down, to make sure that they start and finish on a piece rather than finishing just in the middle of a piece of paper. So they look like they've got something to hang from. So that's the same for this side here. You can see it starts on this edge and goes to the bottom piece of this photo mat here with a white piece here. So it has somewhere to live. And the ink's dried back a little bit now from my stamping, and you can see that that has smoothed out a little bit. So I'm really happy with how this looks. I'm bringing this up just a little bit closer so you can see the gorgeousness of these reindeers. They're so fun and so cute, and I know I'm going to use those over and over again. And I think the stamping on the white elements for all these postage stamp type pieces has worked really well. I was debating whether or not to put this element on here with the postage stamps. That just adds a gorgeous textured effect to these pieces with the stamping on there. Make sure you check out the playlist below for the Creative Design Team's YouTube collab this month, where we are taking Christmas cards that we created from previous 31 Days of October events and adapting them for our scrapbook layouts. And I absolutely loved creating these and all the other cards that I showed you earlier in the video, and I think it's translated really well to a scrapbook layout and then bringing it across onto a 2-page spread. So what started out with me thinking I was just going to do a title page has now become a 2-page spread. So this one will probably be a photo of the Christmas tree with all the gifts underneath it, and then these will be the snapshots of the family opening the gifts on Christmas Day. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy crafting, and bye for now.